You could be anywhere doing anything, but you're hanging out with us, and we appreciate that. So wherever you're listening and however you're listening, we appreciate you guys so much for listening. And with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another exciting episode of the Game Plan Podcast. Alex Goodwin is my name. You can follow me on Twitter at Alex Goodwin TSM. Again, that's on Twitter at Alex Goodwin TSM. Follow the show on Instagram at _ the Game Plan Podcast. Lamar Gafford.
What's going on, yeah?
Where can the folks find you on Twitter?
All right, you can find me on Twitter at Lamar Gafford. That's all in one word. Once again, that is at Lamar Gafford.
All right. Kennedy Miller will be joining us here momentarily. But also, a big thank you to everybody tuning in live on the Game Plan Podcast YouTube page. Leave your questions, leave your comments. You never know. We might just read them out live here on the show. So, getting to game number 4. The Warriors took game 4, 107-97 to tie this series up at 2 games apiece heading into game number 5. Steph Curry had 43 points and shot 7 for 14 from beyond the three-point arc to lead all scorers. Jason Tatum led Boston with 23 points, 11 boards, and 6 assists. So, Lamar, first reaction to game number 4.
I was actually impressed that it was a close game for once. It was just all the way through, very close for at least most of the game, so I can't really be mad about that here. But, I mean, you got to go ahead and just say Steph Curry. I mean, he shot the ball pretty well. 43 points, made 7 3-pointers. There were times that he was basically unstoppable, especially in the second half. And he was really the driving force of really helping out the Warriors and getting them over the hump here. But not just only him, but also good contributions from Klay Thompson, good contributions from Jordan Poole. And when you can get those 3 guys playing well and at least scoring the ball pretty well, more than often than not, they win.
For me, my biggest takeaway, it really comes back to Boston. So, all year I've noticed this. Boston has had trouble putting teams away, right? So we're thinking back early in the regular season before they really got it going in the second half of the season. They had trouble blowing leads in the fourth quarter, right? Mm-hmm. In that second round series against Milwaukee, game 5, they're up double digits in the fourth quarter. They blow that game, they lose. In the series with Miami in the conference finals, game 1, they're rolling. They come out in the second half of game 1, and they absolutely blow that lead entirely in the third quarter. Go into game number 6. Boston's up 3-2. Boston has a chance to put this away on their home court, go to the finals, avoid a game 7 in Miami. They can't get it done, right? We come into this series, and they have been atrocious in the third quarter. Tonight, notwithstanding, they have been a poor team in the third quarter in this series and the entire season broadly, right? And this is an issue with teams who are very talented, but they just don't have that extra oomph to get them over the hump. Because they could have effectively put Golden State away tonight. You go up 3-1, you're effectively going to win this series. And great teams, championship teams, when they have a chance to go up 3-1 and really put your foot down on somebody, you take it. They didn't do that tonight. They didn't. They had opportunities. When they went up 5 midway through the fourth quarter, this is your chance to really put your foot down and take control of this series as a whole. And they didn't do that. But part of that is I expected that. And I also expected Golden State, being champions, to show up. That championship DNA showed up tonight. It really did. So for me, that's my biggest takeaway there. And now 2 out of the next 3 games are going to be in Golden State. So if Boston couldn't close and go up 3-1 at home, can we expect them to win 2 of the next 3 in the Bay?
Yeah, that's a good question there, because I think they can. They've done it before, obviously, in game 1. But the question is now, with Golden State having the momentum coming into this here, and I know we hate saying momentum, but coming in here, with a win and now going to the Bay, feeling pretty good about themselves at this point. What did they do? What are they going to be able to do in order to combat that there? Like you said, I mean, I think the Celtics had a chance of possibly putting this team away. It looked like at one point that it was going to be a 3-1 lead, but just kind of ran out of gas. And of course, Steph was Steph. I mean, that's just pretty much was it there. It's going to be very interesting to see what does Boston do, because can we expect any of these role players, the Al Horfords, Robert Williams, Grant Williams, can we expect them to have another game like they did in game 1? Can we expect them to show up once again on the road? Because they're going to have to do it, if not game 5, game 7, as opposed to also they're going to have to do it in game 6, obviously, too. So at least for one of these road games, those role players are going to have to step up there. Or guys like Tatum, guys like Brown, should I even add in Marcus Smart into that mix? They're going to have to go off in those games just to offset anything.
Absolutely. And like that brings me to Jason Tatum again. 23 points on 23 shots, 8 of 23 from the field, right? Another inefficient game. So again, Lamar, is this Tatum missing shots? Is this Tatum taking really, really tough shots? Like, what do you think Udoka and the staff can do to get him easier looks, easier buckets?
I mean, first off, just tell him at least to try to get him going inside a little bit, just to see some of those shots go in. I mean, the thing about Tatum is he is one of those Kobe system guys, obviously, where he believes that I can take any tough shot as I want to, and it's going to go in. Now, sometimes it looks good when it goes in, but when it doesn't go in, you're putting your team at a disadvantage. And I think seeing the inefficiencies right there, that tells me he took way more than anything else there. And sometimes it's okay just to get some easy shots. I mean, sometimes just laying the ball up is much more effective than, having that tough shot out there. So that's probably what they're going to have to do, at least give them some good looks inside, let them see the ball inside, let them see the ball at least go inside a little bit, get them in a rhythm, and, get them going there that way.
I think that definitely makes sense. And something else I want to touch on here is Golden State went small. So they went out there and started Draymond Green and Otto Porter Jr. as their front court. And Boston really didn't take advantage of that on the boards. Of course, Robert Williams had his, typical game on the boards. But in terms of points in the paint, Boston really didn't capitalize. Lamar, do you know what the points in the paint, what the comparison between the two teams was?
Lay it on me. Lay it on me.
So it was 38-32 points in the paint. Golden State had more. More points in the paint. Now remember, game number 3, Boston had 52 points in the paint. Right? So they weren't able to capitalize when Golden State went really, really small. And I think some of that was the rebounding of Andrew Wiggins. Andrew Wiggins tonight, you knew with Golden State going really small, they're going to need a team effort to rebound, to box out, do all those different things, right? Wiggins giving them 16 boards. Steph Curry having 10 rebounds. Now, is that something you're going to be able to depend on? Steph Curry getting 10 rebounds 2 or 3 more times? I doubt that. I think that's one of those statistical outliers, right? But Boston has got to figure out a way to capitalize and pound Golden State small lineups.
Yes, absolutely. That too. And I think another thing that really helped out there with the Warriors was in part of the game here, of course, when they started off going small and kind of realized that it wasn't going to work as effectively as they wanted it to, they brought Kevon Looney off the bench, and Kevon Looney really had a very good game. 6 points, 11 rebounds. He was pretty solid out there inside here and really counteracted what the Celtics did with Robert Williams. Now, obviously, Robert Williams, He was giving it everything, giving it all he could in the first 3 quarters, at least in the ball game, blocking every single shot. But as you can kind of see as the game went on a little bit, he really felt like he was a little bit gassed. And I know that there was one point where he was switched on to Steph, and Steph was doing his, crossover, and then the floater. And I kind of thought to myself at that point, yeah, this is not gonna be a good matchup, even if Rob was on 2 legs. But with him being on 1 leg and having to guard Steph Curry, very quick guy. I mean, bad ankle or not, still quick. And I just, at that point, I just felt like it's just like, yeah, he just felt gassed at that point. That's just how I felt like. He just felt gassed at that point.
Yeah, and another thing I just kind of crossed my mind was that when Golden State's going really small, starting Porter, starting Draymond Green, in Wiggins, that's their front line, at least the front line that they're starting with, at least tonight. And that's the front line I think they're going to stay with. How many more 43-point Steph Curry games can you depend on, right? And I say that because how many games you win in the NBA Finals with 2 of your starters giving you a combined 4 points and a combined 1 for 9 shooting from the field? They have to get something out of Draymond Green at some point. And this is odd to say about Draymond Green. He looked scared to shoot the ball. He looked like scared money. Boy, every time I saw Draymond Green touch the ball, he didn't seem like he was even looking towards the basket.
Mm-hmm.
Looking to get rid of the ball, get it right out of his hands. You can't have that. Draymond Green has got to be able to do something for you on the offensive end. Something. Because when teams go to these really, really small lineups, and especially with the Warriors, 3-point shooting. Right? Like that's what you're trying to maximize. Get that big out of the paint, space it out and knock down some threes. Otto Porter and Draymond Green did nothing of the sort tonight. It was a quiet, nondescript game from the 2 of them. So in order for them to win this, they have got to get something out of Draymond Green. Maybe he should stop doing the podcast right after the game. I don't know, but something. They need something on the offensive end of the floor from Dre.
I'll even throw this into you here. You want to know what Draymond is shooting in these 4 games so far?
Lay it on me, champ.
6 for 26, shooting 23%.
Damn.
And that's including the 1 for 7 tonight. And it's just been miserable for him. So he's going to have to, like you just said, he's going to have to give you something offensively. Because we know defensively he's going to do this. But he's going to have to do something offensively. I mean, if it's not shooting, creating shots, he's going to have to do something. Just something.
And it's hard for them to take him off the floor because of how important he is on the defensive end of the floor. He's their defensive quarterback. He's the one looking to Mike Brown for the signal. All right, when are we going to go to the 1-2-2 zone? When are we going to go to the 3-2 zone, right? So it's almost, and this sounds wild to say, you remember in 2016 and 2017 when the Thunder when they still had Durant and Andre Roberson was still on the court in Game 7, they were playing Golden State. And we all knew Andre Roberson was useless on the offensive end of the court. Like it was he could have practically not crossed half court because we knew he ain't gonna do nothing but pass the ball.
Okay.
Like he's not gonna shoot. That's kind of what it feels like right now with Draymond Green.
Yeah.
You have to leave him out there on the floor because of how elite of a defender he is and how he just makes sure everybody's where they're supposed to be and we're on schedule. But on offense, he's become such a detriment. Such a detriment.
Yeah. I mean, point taken. I mean, there's nothing else more to say about that. It's just he has been abysmal. He has really been abysmal out there. And it's just been, I mean, there's just some things that he needs to do better. And like I said, offensively, he needs to do much better offensively. Get some shots to go in and stuff like that because, Boston's going to dare him to shoot. And if he's gonna continue shooting like this, I mean, they're gonna play off of him. They're gonna be like, okay, well, shoot, prove to us that you can make a shot.
If they run any sort of pick and roll, I am trapping the ball handler because Draymond Green ain't gonna do nothing with it.
Right.
I'm trapping. We ain't scared. Shoot. Like, it's at the point where, kind of like Andre Roberson, I mentioned it, when he made 7 threes when they played San Antonio in Game 6, 2016, Roberson makes 6, 7 threes. All right, cool. We just lost this one, pimping. It is what it is, right? But moving on to some of our listener questions. So Maya asks, the Celtics dropped the ball in Game 4 in the fourth quarter. How do you think they can adjust with Game 5?
Wow, that's going to be a good question there. I just think, again, get Tatum going, get the stars going pretty much because, like you said, you're on the road. Get Tatum, get Brown, get Smart going. Get those 3 guys, or at least 2 of those 3 guys going, and get them some easy shots there. And that way, you're able to possibly come away with this one. I think they played a lot better in the third quarter. I was really, really impressed by that. I will say that, even though could have been a little bit better, but hey, given the other third quarters that they had in the first 3 games, much better improvement there. So if they could just keep on doing what they did in the third quarter this time around and not have a fourth quarter collapse, I think they'll be okay.
I think it's simple. There's not too many adjustments on the floor that they really need to make. The issue is that they don't play a full 48 minutes of basketball, to me. And if you're going to be a championship team, you have got to put together 48 minutes of fully engaged basketball. You can't, of course, during the game, there's going to be peaks and valleys, right? The other team's going to make a run at some point, but you just can't start hemorrhaging during certain periods of the game. And typically, like you said, happens coming out of halftime. I don't know what they're doing at halftime. I really don't know. It's kind of like there's a sore spot for me. Texas football last year coming out of halftime, just blowing leads. Is it lack of conditioning, lack of focus? Is the other team making adjustments to Ime Udoka not? I can't quite pin it down, but they're not playing a full 48 minutes. And they don't do it consistently. And if you're going to be a championship team, you're going to be the championship team like the Golden State Warriors, you have to put them away. You cannot let a great team like this, a team with this much experience, a team that's been here before, you can't keep letting them hang around. If you're going to win it, they're going to have to put them down straight up. So for me, Boston, their adjustment is play a full 48. Simple. Play a fully engaged, locked in 48 minutes. If they do that, because I think Boston has the better team. I genuinely think that they do. And it's pretty obvious through these first 4 games, they've got the better overall roster.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're not locked in, that's how you lose. And I think at some point, I figured during the playoffs, this whole, blowing leads, this is going to come back to bite them at some point. It almost bit them against Milwaukee. It almost bit them against Miami, even in that Game 7 when they played Miami. They're up in the fourth quarter. We're thinking, all right, man, we can go to the bathroom. You come back. What do you mean it's a 4-point game? Let me stop preaching. So again, just play the full 48.
Yeah.
I don't know if they need a motivational speech or something. I don't know. Play a full
I feel
48.
like Ime is going to challenge those boys' manhood on the plane. I feel like that's what he's going to do.
Got to do something, man. He's got to do something. So another question from Mark. Is Tatum's constant bricks, are they worse than Jaylen Brown's constant turnovers?
I'll let you go ahead and take that. Yeah.
I'll take it. I've never seen a player as good as Jaylen Brown that is a perimeter player have such a poor handle. My God. It's booty cheeks. His handle is not good. And you'd expect at this point in his career, year 6, year 7, it would be better than this. It's not. So I would say, in some point, I think Tatum's dribbling, because at the end of the game, he becomes a liability. You can't put the ball in his hands at the end because he might dribble it off his foot, like Mark said, right?
Yeah.
Now, Tatum taking tough shots, again, that's, the classic, he think he Kobe. So somebody can kind of like pop him upside the head like, hey, you're not Kobe. And even when Kobe took them shots, we looked at him like, hey, what are you doing? Will you stop taking these ridiculous shots? Take the easy ones, pimping. But again, I'll say it's Jaylen Brown and his 5th grade ball handling skills. That's the bigger detriment.
I don't know what he needs to do. I mean, does he need to look down at the ball when he's dribbling or something? I don't know. I mean, but yeah, I mean, you can't throw a ball. Like I could somewhat live with missed tough shot, but I cannot live with turnovers. I cannot live with turnovers and giving other teams a chance. Obviously, when you're ruining the rhythm and all that, I just cannot do that. So,
and some of those turnovers, the Warriors 17 points off of Boston's 16 turnovers, and even worse when they're live ball turnovers, and now you've got a foul to prevent an easy bucket. Now we're talking about clear path fouls and free throws in possession. Jaylen Brown, just dribble better. Or maybe, who was his coach when he was a kid at the Boys and Girls Club? I feel like somebody should have been able to teach him how to dribble with both hands. I mean, damn. So, all right, let's keep it pushing. So we have a question. Oh, man. Oh, buddy, this one's going to get us in trouble. What's up with Steph Curry's dad with his new woman?
Oh,
not officially divorced yet. He could have at least upgraded. Hey, look, I'm going to say this. Earlier during the season, I saw Dale at some of Steph's games, and Dale totally gave the look of a man that's had just got divorced. They had been married for a very long time, and he's back out here like it's 1993 again. Like Dale Curry looks like he's putting somebody's daughter through nursing school. Dale Curry looks like, he's taking them, them pills to get your blood going, and he's wilding. Freaky D. But you're right. He could have upgraded. Dale didn't, and this is the problem with some of, our people, Lamar. Hopefully nobody gets a little sensitive about this. Hope they don't. But when some people go to whiter pastures, they go to whiter pastures just to say they went to whiter pastures and get them just any old, person.
Yeah.
In the inverse of that, when our white brethren, when they come over here, they get them the baddest black woman in town. Every time. But yeah, Dale, nah, I know he probably hungry. That woman don't look like she seasons any food. I'm just saying.
And look, which is crazy because she looks like the younger sister of Martha Stewart. Am I kidding? Am I going too far?
No, you good.
Going too far. I mean, she really does look like the younger sister of Martha Stewart. But yeah. I'm like, okay. Look at Dale's new flame out here. And so I guess, do we add that into Steph's rebounding total or something like that? Because it looked like he at least tried to rebound a little bit. So Curry's tried to rebound a little bit. But the one thing I was interested in seeing was, I was wondering where Miss Sonia at. Because we didn't see Miss Sonia.
You're right. That is true. We have not seen her. Like, this is like when your parents, when people's parents are split up, and, at some award ceremony, the parents have to sit together. You can tell they clearly don't like each other. Hi, Tony. How you doing, Clarice? And you can tell they don't talk unless it's about their kids. Like, I don't even think she wants to even be in the building. Maybe they're on opposite sides of the building. I'm not sure. I have a good suspicion if Sonya was in the building, they'd have put a camera on her.
Well, let me ask you this. Do you think Miss Sonya upgraded?
That's a good question. Given that, she still looks, pretty good, I'm going to say so myself.
Yeah.
Maybe. But right now, we talking about Dale. and Dale showing up. Dale up here eating unseasoned food, nasty food. I know them eggs that woman make at the house. I know they runny. I know they are. I just know it.
He ain't carrying that plate that Dirk always carried. He ain't doing that. He ain't doing that.
Yo,
I don't know what he carried it in, but he ain't carrying it in that plate with the tin foil. He ain't doing that.
He's not, man. Like that. And Dirk is another example of somebody else that, you know, when he comes to this side of things, when our white friends, when the white men, they do it, they do it. They do it and do it well. To the point we over here, the brothers be like, damn, we lost her. We're like, we got to have a meeting or something. Got to have a bit of a meeting or something. So let's keep reading some of these comments. Oh, man, that was... Anybody else got any silly questions like that? Please throw them at us.
Please throw them at us.
Please.
We're here for them.
We really are tonight. So, yeah, somebody said that Dirk plate was so iconic they put it in the NBA 75 commercial. Yes. Oh man. Look, you know, somebody asked, you know, Steph's mom, did she upgrade? You know, his mom has nothing to prove, but she'll definitely show up and show out. Man, like, you know, when black women end up getting divorced or something like that, and they're of a certain financial status, they go out and show up and get some billionaire white man, you know, who own, I don't know, some water company or own the color blue or some rich bastard, something like that. Like Eve, Mariah Carey, Janet Jackson, you know, she's going to show up with some dude who runs, you know, some investment banking firm, you know, Charles Schwab or something.
Right.
Watch. Just watch. You're going to show up to the game with some white man who ain't got off his phone the entire time. And she probably not going to be happy either.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe, just maybe, this might be a little bit more interesting. Maybe she goes, you know, goes the Tyler Perry route. What if, I got a question. What if Dale was like, has been treating Aisha, not Aisha. What if Dale has been treating Sonya? What if Dale is one of those like Tyler Perry blackmail villains, but undercover? What if? And Aisha shows up with like the light-skinned garden with the bad wig or something, or some bus driver. I love Jesus and I love you too. All right, man. We need to quit playing around. So we got another basketball question here. Can we talk about Tatum not being a superstar, but people want to make him one? Meanwhile, Giannis has had to have a top 15 resume first. Lamar, you want to take that one?
I think part of that is mainly because, I mean, Tatum's playing for one of the more iconic teams. I mean, one of the more iconic franchises in the NBA. That kind of probably elevates him a little bit more in that case. Even though for some people, Paul Pierce, it did. But then again, we now talk about Paul Pierce. We talk about him in a bad way. But I think that's probably part of it. I mean, with him playing for the Celtics, and you know, the Bucks have won their titles and all that stuff, but they're nowhere near where the Celtics are at. I think that kind of elevates him a little bit there.
Yeah. Also, I think that Tatum kind of gets that superstar push, partly because when he came into the league, he was so. They made it to the conference finals year one. No Kyrie, no Gordon Hayward. It was him, Brown, Smart, I believe one of the Morris twins.
Yeah, pushed LeBron to a game 7.
Yeah, man, pushed LeBron to a game 7. And they should have won that series, to be honest with you. They would have put up a better fight against Golden State than LeBron and those. Basically, it was LeBron and Drew Hill out there. So, like, they would have put up a better fight. But I think since then, we've placed Tatum at this place to where, like, it's like superstar in training, right? Like, we know we've kind of stamped it to like, this dude's going to be a superstar, right? And I think this playoffs, he's been phenomenal. He's like extremely well all through this. Like, if they would have won the title this year, they would have gone through. They swept KD and Dr. Umar, beat Giannis in the Bucks, beat the Heat, game 7 at home, and then going and beating the team of the decade, the Golden State Warriors. Like that, I think that would kind of put him there. Do I
Yeah.
think he's a superstar now? No, I don't. I think Jason Tatum's a star. Jason Tatum has superstar talent. But right now, I don't think he's a superstar. But he's close. He's close.
Yeah. Very close. Very close.
So, we're going to keep going on into our comments section. Were you surprised to see Bjelica get PT over Jonathan Kuminga? No, I wasn't. And that's simply because putting young players in a spot like this in the NBA Finals, you don't know how they're going to react. The moment might get too big. Right? Now, the way Steve Kerr handles his rotation during the regular season, it's a lot like Greg Popovich does, to where we're going to play all 11, 12 guys on the roster. We're going to play all of them. Because if in the event that we need them in the playoffs, they're ready. They're battle tested. They know our sets. They're not deer in the headlights. Kind of like when in 2013, 2014, when Tony Parker missed the second half of the conference finals, game 6 against Oklahoma City, and they sent Corey Joseph out there with all the confidence in the world, and he did well. Or in 2017, when DeJounte Murray was a rookie, Tony Parker blew a quad, and they sent 19-year-old DeJounte Murray out there, and he did just fine, right? I think Steve Kerr follows that same sort of mindset, but I also think in the playoffs, when rotations really shrink, right, from, 10, 11 guys to maybe 8, to where as the season goes on into the finals, you're probably playing your top 6 or 7 guys. Probably the top 6 or 7 dudes. So that's what I think has happened. So I'm not shocked Bjelica is getting those minutes instead of Jonathan Kuminga. What do you think, Lamar?
Yeah, I'm not surprised by that either. I mean, for as good as Kuminga did, you saw the development that he had this season. With some spurts, he looked good. At some points in time here, we still got to remember he's still a rookie. And of course, the Warriors do have a veteran team out there. And it's kind of like you said, the moment, you never know, the moment's going to get too big for him or not too big for him. So I have no problem with him getting a chance to at least take it in, or the only time he gets some PT is when, the game is well out of hand or something like that. Now, next year, if they're in this same situation, would this happen? I don't think this would be the case. I think you would see Kuminga get those minutes. But I'm not surprised that he's riding the pine at this one.
Not at all. My man Mark says, I think he's talking about Jason Tatum. Tatum's been great, but let's be real, the team is great. This is a more balanced team than Kawhi and Toronto was. I'd agree with that. And I was actually thinking, as I was talking about Tatum, the whole superstar question, that it kind of reminds me of that run Kawhi had in that lone year in Toronto. Beating Philadelphia when they had Jimmy, Embiid, Ben Simmons, Tobias Harris, going on to beating Giannis and the Bucks in the finals, and then going on and beating Golden State, albeit without Kevin Durant, but for, 18, 19 minutes a game 4, I believe. But, yet and still, I think this team is a lot more balanced than they are, right? I think that Toronto team was a bit top heavy, but that was also a extremely well-rounded roster, to be fair. With Gasol, with Siakam, Kyle Lowry, Van Vliet, like that was a very good roster. And I think the rosters are a lot more comparable now that I'm talking about it now than I think we previously kind of give them credit for. But, very fair, very, very fair point. So moving on to another fan question. Cam Jackson asks, are the Warriors getting out-coached? Lamar, you can take that one.
Man. In some spurts, yes. Some spurts, yes. I would say they might be getting a little bit out-coached out there. At points in times, again, just what adjustments is Steve Kerr going to make there? There are some points in times where it looks like Ime is, out-coaching him, especially in the fourth quarters. I mean, game 1, you can definitely say yes. Of course, with the Warriors missing those shots, game 3, you can kind of also say the same thing. I think he's doing a decent job in making those adjustments, but it's just more reactionary than proactionary, if it makes any sense.
That definitely makes sense. Generally, I think with coaches, I find that any coach can get had by a lesser coach. You know, like we've seen Greg Popovich get out coached by Lionel Hollins and Scott Brooks before. We've seen Nick Saban get out coached by Gus Malzahn.
Yeah.
You know, so I think Steve Kerr, second half, making those adjustments that he did, I don't even know if we can consider it out coached, but we consider, just adjustments, making the adjustments and, having the guts to kind of put Draymond Green on the bench for a while. Like that takes a certain level of guts.
Yeah.
So do I think the Warriors got out coached? Not particularly. Do I think their loss in game one? I think that was Boston got really hot and Golden State really didn't. Like that was one of those outlier quarters where Boston couldn't miss and Golden State couldn't throw a rock in the ocean if you paid them. And given Golden State's offensive firepower with Poole, Clay, and Steph, that's rarely going to happen. So yeah, got another fan comment from my man Dante. The way Tatum has stepped up on defense, he's deserving of the superstar label, but they need a huge performance from him in game 5 because role players tend not to play as well on the road. That is definitely a good point. Definitely.
Yes. And he's capable. He's capable of doing it because we've seen it happen, of course, in the latter part of the series against the Bucks and the latter part of the series against the Heat. He's capable of doing it. He's capable of going against those whatever superstar, Giannis, Jimmy, whatever. He's capable of doing it. So this is his time to shine. Game 5, game 6, game 7. This is where that if you're a superstar, if you're a star, this is where you take your game to another level. So I'm excited to see this. I'm interested in seeing this because I think he can do it. And so it's just all about doing it right now. And especially you're going to have to do it on the road too.
Absolutely. So we're going to close things out with this last question. Who do you think, Lamar, takes game number 5? And, everybody that's watching on YouTube, you guys leave your predictions for game 5 in the comment section as well. But Lamar, what do you think?
I'm still going to go with the Celtics. I feel like if they're going to take one of these games on the road, they have to do it in game 5. They have to do it in game 5. I don't feel comfortable choosing a road team to take a game 7. But I think they do it in game 5. I can kind of already imagine this is probably going to be both of these teams have kind of made as many adjustments as they possibly could make. So now it's just all about the players just trying to step up. I think Tatum has a big game, and I just think the Celtics probably win this one pretty close.
I'm going to go. This is a tough one. This really is a tough one. I don't believe the Celtics have lost 2 games in a row in these playoffs. I believe they're 7-0 after a loss here in the 2022 playoffs. So, in Golden State, I believe they're 6-0 now after a loss in the playoffs this year. So I think this is one of those moments where you ask yourself, can Boston, rise to the occasion? Can they? Right. And, can they come out with that same sort of energy and that same sort of, grit and determination that the Warriors had tonight? Right. Can they play a full 48? I'm going to go Warriors win game number 5. It's going to be close. Like, I think this one is going to be a real dogfight. I think this is probably going to be probably the best game of the entire series. One of the best games of the entire series. And I feel like this series is getting much better as we continue to go along, as the stakes get higher. But I'm going to go Warriors by, let's say, 5 to start off with. But we have to leave it right there because we are out of time here on the Game Plan Podcast post-game show. Lamar Gafford, I got to thank you for hanging out with me. Let the folks know where they can find you on Twitter and where they can find all your great work on Louisiana high school sports.
Appreciate it, my man. Yes, you can find me on Twitter at Lamar Gafford. That's all in one word. Once again, at Lamar Gafford on Twitter. You can also find my articles on thetowntalk.com. A lot of good high school football articles and a lot of good high school sports articles, all in general. So can't wait for this.
All right. Again, Lamar Gafford, I appreciate you so much for hanging out with us, man. Family of the show here, man. Always I can call Lamar if and when we are in a pinch and we need some help. You can follow me on Twitter at Alex Goodwin TSM. Again, that's on Twitter at Alex Goodwin TSM. That's T as in Tanqueray, S as in Sangria, M as in margaritas. I should have said S as in Sonia, like Sonia Curry. Hey, can we figure out where Sonia is though? Can we like get her in the building?
Yeah, we definitely do.
Like
and I know you.
Yeah, put like a camera in her house, like so we can give you like the split shot of her and Dale watching the game. Can we get that?
And by the way, I know you mentioned Dr. Umar Johnson earlier. I saw the memes here after Dale showed up with his new queen.
Oh man,
that they were like, I wonder what Dr. Umar would say about this. So
Dr. Umar is probably going to say something like, look, non-Africans are not allowed. Oh man, but you guys can follow the show on Instagram at _the Game Plan Podcast. Again, follow the show on Instagram at _the Game Plan Podcast. Follow the show on our YouTube channel. Like this, share it, subscribe it, tell your friends to tell 10 friends to tell 10 more friends about the Game Plan Podcast. For Lamar Gafford, my name is Alex Goodwin. Wherever you're listening, however you're listening, we so greatly appreciate you guys for hanging out with us. This has been the Game Plan Podcast. Alex Goodwin is my name. We're going to see you guys after game number 5. Peace.